Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hacking Infinity, Meatybones.
Ah,
uh, Unfortunately, Spook couldn't make it, so we are gonna try out something intriguing. Adaser has a game in development called Meatybones, and we are going to try it out.
yes, it's
Yeah,
a very good
should be
game. That's
cool.
very well thought out and planned and good.
Uh, well,
It's all fabulous.
yeah, chaos is good. I like it.
As a chaos magician in real life, I can't argue with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm just going
Although,
to, first of all, follow you on Twitter. Second of all,
I I was already on all that, so
I was looking for your tweet. I was like, I don't see it. Was not. What is it?
oh.
yeah. There's a .com after it, as I recall.
There
Yeah,
is. Yeah, it's not ideal.
try to put too many G's in it, and yeah.
hmm Okay,
Also,
mine's missing an E in lavender because the name is just one too long.
yeah, you're
Hmm.
so excited to say. You just gotta. You're saying right on.
So, yep. It's like
Uh,
Tumblr or other things.
Also, I love this. I love this picture that's got the scales and it's very spooky but very future. It's all the genres all at
Yeah,
once.
all mashed together.
Yeah, just like this game can be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where are we
So,
going? What are we doing? Are we doing shoutouts first? Am I doing
Yeah,
shoutouts?
yeah.
The
Do
answer is
that.
yes.
Do that for sure.
Hi, I'm Dark Lavender Void, and I'm taking over everything now. And I'm just I have a game called Mortally Bankrupt, and where you play reality TV stars on a reality show that's only watched by Eldritors, and the Eldritors interfere with your life. And hopefully, we'll be playing that game soon as well, but not today.
nice. Today we're playing Meatybones the Meat because I'm good at naming things, and it's a quick start narrative based genre slottable game that steals from a lot of games much more thought out than mine. But it seems to work so far, so we're gonna keep chipping away at it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm Jean Adaser. Hello. I don't know if I said that. I'm very nervous. I was not expecting this today.
Yeah. I mean, so would you call it Powered by the Apocalypse, or is the DNA different enough that
I think the DNA is
is
different enough because the thing I stole from Powered by the Apocalypse games is uh the scaling of having moves and also the failure success kind of success thing or failure kind of success thing, but I also stole from D&D. I stole from, what are the other games we were talking about that I stole from? I just
Blades,
Monster Hearts
Blades.
and Blades.
Monster
So
Hearts. Yeah.
so I stole the skill list from D&D and the general like pushing forward. I fail forward. I am a big believer in applying adjectives when you take an injury instead of having hit points. I stole from Monster Hearts.
Very cool.
And yeah, so it seems to be working out a little bit. Oh, it needs tweaking. That's why we're here. We're here to test it. We're here to try it out and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
also build a character.
yes.
Yeah.
So Adam, you are way ahead of me in terms of
Yeah, way ahead.
Yeah,
uh,
there's so
in
much to
terms
do
of
with building a
creation.
character, guys. It's intense. I ran this game IRL for one, two, three, four people, and we got their characters done all together in a half an hour.
Wow.
And that was with a version where we all rolled stats for things, and I've decided to not do that because it ended up not playing into things. as much. So we're going to see how that plays out now without doing that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sort of trimming down the stuff that added more math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am making a dark elf grandma who's managing a wedding dress shop. I have a special skill, which is web weaving, because webs are a difficult substance to deal with, and I have a special skill for dealing with just that.
Yeah. So with that, we could go over how to build a character. So basically, you have the same skills as in Dungeons and Dragons. You have like acrobatics, animal handling, sleight of hand, and you also have two flavor text skills that fall out of the range of those things. And you pick 3 skills from the standard list, and then you make up what your character what makes them more unique to that person, as long as it doesn't like exactly match one of the original skills. Like in another game, one of my people had, instead of medicine, along with medicine, she had autopsy, which is dealing with corpses and investigation and like body stuff specifically, and not just how people are feeling and do they look hurt. So web weaving, chosen by a great pal, is something like that. But since it's web weaving in the actuality, like, oh, I make webs, it could also be applied, because of how they named it, to social interactions of like manipulating people and like pulling people's strings, if they should choose to use it that way. So the naming convention is also important, like specific but vague. It's kind of weird, but yeah. And it can be something silly, so don't need to be.
So what I'm thinking of in terms of character concept is I think a kobold with pretensions of dragonhood who is good at traps, and I think to better fit in with Adam's character, what we have in common is that we both run shops. I run a shop that that mostly sells to like hunters who want to like lay out traps to just come by and pick up game later.
Okay, it sells to hunters. It doesn't sell hunters, or does it?
It sells to hunters as clientele. Yes.
Okay.
Like, what it sells is like traps and other devious devices.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And Adam, have you thought about what your main 3 skills are? And the way the skills are, since you don't have like racial abilities, is you have I also stole from Beer of Midwest Improv D&D live campaign, is 10 and over and it's a success, 10 and under and it's a failure, and depending on how far away from that you get, things can be bad. So we'll see, and I am all about failing forward, so we'll see how you people, the players, deal with those. And if something bad happens, like, I'm not the only person who can suggest something happening. Like if you try to sneak into somewhere and you fail horribly, you can set off alarms, or you could hurt yourself, or you could like stumble upon something you weren't meant to find. It's all about what fits in the narrative, what's interesting, what's fun. Like, that's the thing. If it's not fun, don't do it. That's the main point of this game. Yeah. Why do it if it's not fun? The point.
Cool. How should I go about picking skills?
Pick 3 that fit your character, and then click the proficiency box next to them.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. I should actually look at.
I forget. Is animal handling applicable to spiders?
They're animals.
Cool. In a version of D&D that I played, they were like, some insects are considered like vermin instead of animals or something.
Nah.
It's yeah.
That's like, even with regular D&D, not the best at rules. I have a lot of players who are like, well, that's not actually how it is. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Or, well, I mean, in this way, I do know rules and I do stick to them when it matters, but if it's something narrative flourish, I will usually allow it if it's, if it's not like overpowering your character or like breaking like main rules.
I think I might have sleight of hand as well, because that seems to make sense.
Yeah, very dexterous.
Yeah.
Good with your fingers. All right. Just
I'm gonna go with deception, perception, and I'm not certain about the third one.
Sure.
Possibly Arcana. Possibly Insight. Can you all hear that cat making horrible sounds?
Distantly.
Okay.
I don't hear it now. So. Yeah.
Well, good. The cat's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm banding between like performance, persuasion, and deception. I kind of want to have like performance being an elderly grandma who can maybe elicit sympathy from people.
Sure. And that's the thing, like you can pick it now and then describe in which way you use it later.
Okay.
Too. So, and also I like there's a thing in the Fate games where you can like discover an aspect, like apply some like discover an aspect with the scene, and I really like giving yourselves narrative boosts that you or your companions can use later. So basically I like all the things that make people more inclined to RP, because I found with D&D a lot of times you're like, oh, I swing my sword. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? It's like, I stab him. I rolled a 18. And I'm like, okay, sure, which D&D is great for. And I know there are other like award-winning tabletop RPG Dungeon World is good at pulling narratives out of people. So I want to encourage that in a fun way that's not like Burning Wheel is a lot. It is great, but it's a lot. So,
yeah.
I love it.
I love it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a lot.
Yeah. It gets there, but it gets there the long way.
Yeah.
And this is sort of meant to be a, like, I have changed it from pick 4 skills to pick 3 skills from D&D and pick 2 flavored text. So that is, I'm pushing you guys more narratively than I did before. And some other examples are dark knowledge, which can be a broad thing, and also pumpkin painting. I've had people use, and being a dad. So if you ever have the thing that would be a dad skill, you could roll, say, oh, I'm using my dadding abilities. You still have to tell me like what you do, but you can say, oh, I'm applying that to this particular role. So. Yeah.
So as long as you can argue that is such a dad thing to do, okay.
Yeah, like I distract them by doing a horrible pun, you know. Yeah. Or I suddenly have this thing that a dad would have. Like I know where my toolbox is at my house. I can go get it now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Brad, do you have a question?
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. So just sort of mechanically for putting down the custom skills, should I put it as a tool proficiency just so that I can roll it and?
Yeah. I think that would work.
Okay.
Yeah, you can whatever way works, because the attribute they're all 0 based, because in another game people rolling, like, it was really fun to succeed a lot because they had in the original version, you would roll 3d6, and you would have to take that. It's not 4d6 and best 3. It was 3d6 for your stats. You don't have to do that now. And then I let them roll a 1d20 and apply those point pools to anything. I had a game where some person rolled very, very badly, and then they got a 3 on the d20, so they only had 3 extra points to spend. But I was like, oh, that's really low. Try rolling again with like a different dice. And they rolled another 3. So we're like, well, it's hilarious. We have to let it stand. And being a bad statted character is still interesting.
Yeah.
Which is one reason I like the spread of that. Like the abilities you have are so varied. With an extra possible 20 points. But I'm skipping that now to see how it plays for how many successes versus failures and how hard it is to do, but also you fail forward. Something will always happen. It's not going to be, oh, you don't pick the lock. What do you do? It's something happens because you tried.
Yeah. So as my second special skill, I gave it some thought, and I'm making up a skill called Crystallurgy.
Okay.
Which does exactly what you think it does. You take like magical crystals like blood crystal or like mana crystals or something like that, and you know how to work with them.
All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a better name for my first custom skill than just traps, but for now it's traps.
Yeah. Well.
I'm tempted
traps,
to just call
traps
it's a
good.
trap. But
yeah, why not?
Okay.
Because there are moves called like Jiggery Pogery, which makes you good at dexterous weapons.
Thing is, though, if you just name it trap, then you can also be good at making trap music. And that's a very wide skill set.
Yeah, and if you say it's a trap, you can be good at like tricking people into like convincing people. But it's if you don't have persuasion, you can say, oh, but I'm saying it's a trap. I'm talking them into doing something I know is dangerous.
So, or just like a verbal trap of you you fell for my opening bid. Now logically
yeah, exactly.
You shall be hoisted on your own petard.
Yes. I have the petard I bought from you months ago. It's now coming back.
I sell petards.
You thought you were buying another petard. You dip it in water and it's a different color. Ha This may end up being a silly game. I'm rather a silly person. Yeah, for all the rules that I'm trying to weave together, I play games that are about fun and like I don't like grimdark stuff. There's enough grimdark stuff out there. I will play one. I mean, RPGlory, I heard you might need some people on Wednesday, so I'm going to see if I can work that out.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Because I think this last Wednesday was my last day job Wednesday for a while until Thanksgiving. So
cool. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can't confirm that before I agree to game.
Yeah, and I think that game will probably lean harder into the humor than horror side of it, but
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there'll certainly be since it involves kids in horror, there'll certainly be X cards available.
Yeah, I mean, childish things with role-playing game. Small children with horrible pet monsters. I mean, I love all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's finally on a day that I'm not booked.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about other things they could do or?
Okay. So while I'm thinking about that second skill, we do generate stats rolling 3d6 down the list?
No. You don't. That was.
Okay.
We're gonna try this without doing that.
Okay, it's just zeroed out.
Yeah, it's just zeroed out.
Okay.
So it's gonna be above and below 10. In previous playtests, I've done that, and there was a lot lot of successes in it. And it worked out well for them, but it seemed like they were always guaranteed a success because they could load up heavy on the skills they wanted to use. So I want to leave it, see how it plays more chaotically. Yeah.
Well, we've already covered that we are in favor of chaos.
We're kind of fans.
Is this working on some sort of like point buy system sort of thing that I'm not familiar with for D&D, or is it just like if you want to go up one, you have to sacrifice one, or is it more
so for
complex
regular
than that?
D&D, for your rolling your stats, a lot of people do like a stat list, which is like 17, 15, 15, 13, 12, 10, or whatever. With the ones I did, or you would roll 46, pick the highest 3, and then put that in your stat, like, to get like not terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
So I took away that extra buffer of picking the best of 4 and just went with a straight 3. Some games do that. You roll 3d6 and that's what you're stuck with.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like having that go, you roll the 3d6 and that number goes into the first strength, and then you do it again and you move it there. In other games you can move around the numbers, like if you want to load up your stacks, you can do that. And then I added the d20 for a chance of, like, this is to show how well your adventure has lived. Like, have they gone out and done a lot of things before this adventure, which could mean that they rolled like a 17, or are they just starting out, or did they do a lot and they're still not very good at it? So if they get like a 3, then that is a pool of points to change your stats. So is that clearing things up? So you roll your stats and then you have those numbers here.
Okay.
We can just do it. Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's double brackets. No. 3d6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those would be my stat points. I've rolled 3d6 6 times. So starting at the top, I will add another character sheet that everyone could look at. This is if you want to play with the stats, which is like an easier mode. It's less failure. Click F Relicchio is the character that I'm. Click F. Yeah. So.
Oh, roll 20.
So my first is 10. My second is 17, which would give me the +3 on anything dexterity based. So if I was good at acrobatics, not only would I have advantage in acrobatics, I would also have that +3 added on for more of a success. 10, 16, 11, and 10. Like, these are good. Yeah, these are good dice rolls.
You roll pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy good.
And 10. And then say, well, I want to see what 1d20. So I have 7 points to put in any place there. So I could add 1 more to dexterity. So I can make it 18, which would boost me up. Or I could add all 7 there, which is not 124. Nope, that's a little too high. I could add a 24 there and get a +7 on dex, like really load it up. Or I could, if I had rolled an 8, I could bring it out of the negatives. It's sort of the band-aid you put on the roll.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I get what you're saying now. I got it.
I mean, we can play like that if you guys want. If you want to roll stats and boost your character in that way.
With zeros. Unless you have a strong preference.
I don't have a super strong preference. We can do whatever you guys like.
Yeah. And if it ends up that we run an hour of this game and it's like we're failing everything, then that's something I know. And that's why we do these things. And definitely not because one of our people is somewhere in the void. No sacrifices are made.
We will play to find out.
Yeah, play to find out. Yeah, and that's how that the D20 can like really boost you up, or like I got a 7, that's like not great, but I already had decent rolls, so it's kind of okay. If I had rolled a bunch of 8s, I would be like, oh man, I could really have used more points. But since I I can't change my base stats. I can only change it with the dice pool. Like, what would make it more interesting? Like having a person who's very, very dumb, who is super charismatic, but very weak. You know?
Yeah. Okay. How do I do the roll that you did? That was.
It's I didn't figure that out. I was told it a couple of months ago, and I was like, that it makes the chat not just go crazy. You type that, and then you just copy paste it however many times you want to roll the dice.
Okay, cool.
And then if you put like 1d20 in it, then it can do that too. It's fine.
Okay, cool. I'll just copy and paste that 6 times.
Yeah, well, that's if we were using the stats, and right now for this game we're not going to use the stats right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just roll the 3d6.
Oh, you don't have to. For right now, we're just going to go with everyone has 10 all the way down the board.
Oh, okay, and then you're just rolling a d20 to boost the 10s. Okay, gotcha.
No, I wasn't going to roll. Sorry, the stat block that I talked about was a thing that I was going to try to play without today.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it was just going to be failures or successes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. But that is a way you would play with a stat block should you want to have the game go a little easier for your person. Because just mathematically, it's going to be harder to succeed without all those boosts.
Okay, cool. So are my stats 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10?
Yes. Your stats are 10 all the way down. Okay.
Okay, I was thinking I needed to do something to change that, and it turns out I didn't need to do anything at all.
No, sorry. I was talking about something that is not applicable for this game.
That's fine.
Don't worry. None of us were confused.
You are forgiven immediately.
So right now, because you picked performance, once you click that, you have a +2 to it, as well as the advantage, because you have. That's just a thing that happens when you learn that skill.
Yes.
That's where your bonus will be coming from.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I picked performance because I feel like that fits kind of like maybe like editing performance a little bit because it's usually more like dancing and like music and stuff like that, but I think that's sort of fine with the sort of temper of the game that we're going for.
Yeah. And you could say your performance is how you present yourself, like I'm a friendly shopkeep, and yeah.
Acting is like a performance.
Yeah, it's absolutely a performance.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
So I have the most important part of my character done.
The name?
Well, that too. I get that's important also. But the most important part is grabbing a picture off the web that looks cool.
Yes, that's also important. And also since my game is built to slot in a bunch of different genres, so there's a group of 4 questions or 4 things that's like you could do magical girl, you could do demon corp like Wolf from the Heart from Buffy, you can do I want to try to work in mecha stuff, but I've never I didn't watch a lot of it, so I'm kind of I'm not sure what to add for that. You have the fantasy variant, you have the spookum variant, you have cooking school variant. So you can slot in all these things. So for today's game, since we're all sort of kind of familiar and we're lacking those 2 are in their lives, we're doing the fantasy variant, which means you have 4 things. It's always 4 things for whatever genre you wanted. You pick a weapon, you pick a magical item, you pick a magical spell or ability, and then you pick a potion. And we talked about when we're off screen, if somebody says, I picked the cloak of invulnerability. At the table, we can talk about, well, sure, but maybe you only think it's that, or maybe it's a cloak of really good luck, or maybe it's a cloak of invulnerability, but there's a curse to it. So we sort of guard people against min-maxing, although this is exactly, it's like about what your character would do. I'm going to be the best fighter, so I need the ultimate sword and the shield of the gods, which is cool, and you can do that, but it's not really about fighting the most monsters, unless you make a game about fighting the most monsters. So it's all depending on what game your people are looking for. It is a lot about story, so it's very unfocused in that way. But I'm working on
I'm
it.
not finding a bunch of great pictures for drow grandmas.
Yeah,
I am finding like drow tech priests, which are really cool, but
That's interesting. I don't think I've seen anything like that before.
It's really,
Yeah.
it's impressive. It's cool because I like tech priests.
Female drow have a problem that a lot of female races
Yeah,
have in
that's
fantasy
the other
games.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it's got to be hard to find pics that aren't like all salacious and like, yeah,
Yeah.
bikini
Sexy.
armor.
Uh-huh.
No, not my game.
I know.
I'm just gonna drop the looking for a picture for now at least, and I'm
Sure.
gonna focus on making a name.
Yeah, I mean, I had it easy. I was just looking for a kobold that looks cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So your kobold owns a trap shop that you sell to adventurers, right?
I'm not selling my shop. No. Yes.
Hey! Again! Crazy. So you don't sell adventurers, and you're not selling your shop to adventurers, but you sell traps to adventurers from your shop.
Yes. I given the opportunity, I might sell adventure.
But then I might sell the shop.
Yeah, especially if the adventurers themselves were trapped. Like I might have a trap door at the entrance, so that adventurers, as they walk in, fall down a chute, and they are thus trapped, and then they can be sold.
There's a comic about this. It's a shop of traps, and everything's trapped, and everyone dies. I think it's Olaf. Yeah.
Oh, I should read that.
It's not safe for work.
Okay.
It's very, very good, but there's a lot of boobs, a lot of penises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's play around with these letters and find a good
letter combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with my name till I added the second L at the end. Then everything was good.
Oh, and if you're ever not sure, just add a not a parentheses, the single version of a parentheses. Apostrophe?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can make it. I can look at it.
Ooh, I could take out the U and just and put an apostrophe there instead.
You could.
And
if you want to go Anne McCaffrey style, just put the first letter, the last three, and then an apostrophe.
And it'd still come out as Curdle. Okay, doing it. Okay, yeah, now it looks appropriately unpronounceable.
Kobold can pronounce it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I found the
it
perfect.
rolls off the tongue in Draconic.
It practically jumps off the tongue into some rocks. That's the Dragon Lord's intended. You found a good
I found a good name. I finally scrambled the letters enough that they looked like something perfect.
Good.
Gervona.
Okay.
Hmm. Let's see if that updates on my character sheet. Maybe not. Yes, now it does. Okay, cool. I just had to click off of it.
Curtil?
Curdle.
Curdle.
Yeah, I mean, think like curdled milk, only, spelled all over.
Yep. It's a perfect kobold name. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, no, I added a U. I took it was between the Y and the L, too, and I was like, what? Okay, Gervona. All right. I haven't had any caffeine today. I should probably fix that.
Yeah, how are you functioning?
I literally just woke up before you started the game. That's how I'm functioning. I haven't got a chance to get tired yet. Don't do drugs, kids, unless they help you function. Or they're prescribed by your doctor.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is usually helping you function.
that doesn't necessarily mean that they're okay.
It doesn't exclude the first. Also, it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of asterisks on that one, so.
Yeah. So, Kurtle, how far away are our shops from each other? I imagine.
Are they across the street?
Yeah.
That's
That'd be
what
awesome.
As soon as you said you owned another shop, I was like, I had this picture, and I just like turned across the street into the like pile of brass and plating that was the trap shop. But if you want it to be like all marble and fancy, then you can do that too.
No. It's totally cobbled together from like 9 different architectural styles and pieces of things.
Is it cobbled together? That's right. I'm that kind of TM.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
So what's like the surroundings of our town that we both live in together? Are we like in a small little village and this is just like this place in the forest is just all shops, and then as soon as you leave the town you're just in this impossible to pass through just thicketed forest nonsense? I mean, there's got to be like a trail that flows through here.
I mean, is
it's
it?
Like cleared? Because otherwise nobody would get here probably.
Oh no. I'm so glad I sent it to you because I just saved something and accidentally saved over the name of the rules of this game.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Damn.
That's good. I saved it again.
Oh boy.
Okay, have you thought about your 4 things? Have you picked a weapon?
I've started to.
Okay.
I should.
Are you still on skills?
Take a
Which is
better
fine
look.
too. That's totally fine.
Let me open this back up. And that's the very end. Okay, cool. So I imagine my like magical item is like something you use to harvest crystals.
Okay. Do you want to just say crystal harvester and describe it later once it comes up?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Where's the notes on this sheet? Let me dig around for that. Maybe I'll just put it in chat. I'll put this list together. Crystal harvester as my magic item.
Okay.
And as a weapon, we were talking about scissors. Well, that does not do it in the order that I wanted it to. I was trying to add an enter so that I could have a space before it. Yeah, that's
Shift
okay.
enter, but this game is hard to do.
Yeah.
And by this game, I mean life.
Okay. For my weapon, we were talking about scissors.
Yeah.
I think scissors are pretty cool. I almost feel like there's maybe some sort of like, oh, but that's not a weapon though. That's like a, that's like a thing. See, the way I'm picturing this thing in my head is it's like something that you use to like also harvest the webs. And I don't imagine that thing being like particularly sharp or pointy or good for hitting people with. But I feel like scissors could be. So I think I'm gonna.
Yeah, and it can't just be like just hitting people. It can be just like injuring them in some way or causing them to get an adjective.
Mm-hmm. Or I could just go with a broom. I hit people with a broom.
It's up to you.
Like that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Broom weapon.
Web weaving, crystallurgy. I'm trying to make notes of all the things you're doing, and it's like it's so interesting to see where people go with this.
Mm-hmm. So I think like the reason that I do things like that when I'm given like this sort of freedom is because like every fantasy thing wants to go like down these paths of putting things in their place. Like D&D wants like gems to like trap elementals, and that's the only things that they do.
Yeah.
And like
they can do literally anything.
Yeah. So I can go like for stuff that I just like, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one way I like I'm trying to make sure that my roles give you enough to sort of push you to think about what you want without making you overwhelmed with the infinite choice of literally anything. So that's my goal. To guide imaginations. It sounds super pretentious to say that, but I don't care.
That's okay. I kind of want to go down the potion route next. Like,
yeah.
I kind of want like a pick-me-up.
Okay.
So like maybe some crystal water or something. Like you just like throw a bunch of crystals in there, and you let it infuse, and like it's like people have the same fascination with it that people have with teas, because if you put different crystals in there, it does different things. And
so you can make potions as you go, but this is like the one potion you have at the start of the game. This is a thing that is defined, that has a thing that it does. Yeah. So
okay, cool. So the specific one that I have is like it just keeps me going in my old age.
Okay. Anti-aging energy booster. And since we describe it like that, we can say what it does more specifically when it happens. Yeah. Adam? Or not Adam. Brad? Sorry,
Brad.
it's the A and the D.
It's okay. I take it as a compliment.
Okay. Bradham?
And
sorry.
So I think my spell / magical ability will be Conjure Rube Goldberg Machine. Like a unnecessarily complicated device. Is that? Sounds like.
So for your ability, so when you say conjure, it means you have a thing you want to accomplish, and then you do this thing, and then you start noticing, well, if I push this rock over here, then it'll knock that over. No. I think it will reveal to you the Rube Goldberg machine that already exists in reality that other people wouldn't notice. Like, and it'll if you succeed, it will definitely solve your problem. Like, it'll be super complicated, and it can be a completely blank room. But if you say that, you'd be like, oh wait, if I stand over here, I realize that there's shelves here, and there are like, yeah.
Okay, so I'll call it a Rube Goldberg effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can Rube, R-U-B-E.
Yes.
Goldberg. Okay. All right. Goldberg effect. So if you trigger this ability and you roll for it, like I keep wanting to say fail forward, but if you succeed, you'll start seeing things that are like, wait, if I just move this over, and if I just throw this marble this way, it'll hit that, and this will happen, and then there's a tiny mouse ladder here. Yeah.
Very cool. I like that.
Because people just see so little in their environment, and you see so much more. That's why you're a better kobold. That's why you have a shot, because you're better. It's the Sherlock thing.
Yeah.
Like the overlay goes up.
I think I'll for my potion, it's gonna sort of play into the same thing, in that it's just a potion of fiendish intelligence, where I can like ask you questions.
Specifically fiendish?
Maybe.
Okay.
Like, I'm applying fiendish in that it's not necessarily like infernal, although it could possibly be that, and I don't know.
I'm just asking you what terminology you would like to apply to this potion that you have.
But it's never.
And the potions automatically succeed. Like, you don't have to roll to do the potion, but your abilities, or if you want to use your item, you can. But,
I think, whatever question or questions I ask using it have to be, related to deviousness in some way. I mean, it can't be.
I'll put devious intelligence.
Yeah.
There.
It can't be. How can I best help Gervona across the street?
Yeah, sure. You can't. You grip them gently by the arm. They'll give you a hard candy once you reach the other side.
Yeah.
This hard candy may or may not have a spider in it.
Or it may not melt in your mouth at all. And it'll just sit there and be very heavy on your tongue.
It's just a stone with a spider in it. It's just a piece of crust that tastes a bit funny.
Mm-hmm. Strangely addictive, though. Once you start, you can't stop.
You literally can't. You cannot. You are cursed.
Yeah.
You're cursed, and you cannot stop, no matter what happens.
And really, the placebo effect of eating stones with spiders in them, it's just off the charts.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
So, do we need a weapon and a magical item from one of you, and then a spell ability from the other one of you? Well, the players at home figure that out.
Yes.
I'm a little campy today. I'm riled up.
Well, okay, so...
Do we want to tie our characters together by saying that we have given each other the other one, or had a part in, like...
Well, we'll do that in a second. Like, these
okay.
are... these are...
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, and if you can think of something that might work for the other person, you can suggest it, too. Like a magical item that would work for somebody else. Like, it's all about communicating together. Gotta build the people, and build the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not sure where to go with the magic item. I do have I did pick a weapon.
Yeah?
It's a recurved repeating crossbow.
Alright.
It can't just be a crossbow. It has to have all the bells and whistles.
Absolutely. Recurve repeating crossbow. Okay. Excellent.
And of course, mechanically, I don't care if it's any different.
Sure. I think it just looks like somebody else would see that and looks like you just put a bunch of stuff on a regular crossbow, but it actually it's a better crossbow. Like, you can use that to fire off a bunch of shafts at once. So, magical item. So when you think of magical, it could be like a standard thing. Like, it doesn't have to be like for kobolds only kind of thing. Like, it could just be, I have an amulet that makes me harder to hit, and then things that have disadvantage on you if they were trying to hit you. Like, it could be that powerful, but if there was like a fight, like, that's another thing in D&D. Fights go on forever, and I'm like, that's too long. Forever is too long to spend in a fight. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was running it, I had often a fight would last pretty much the whole session.
Yeah.
But I was crazy enough to run high level 5th ed.
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose is in some ways not as bad as high level 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I was in one level 17 Pathfinder game with Ashley Nova and all those good pals, and it was so much like working with people to figure out my character because I wanted to play a witch. That's my first ever Pathfinder character. And they're like, oh, you could do this and this and this. And they were killing things so fast. I got like one hex off. And I made somebody big. I turned myself into a dragon. Like the combat went so fast. It was just, yeah. They're like, oh, well, if you hold this for 3 rounds, and I'm like, that's in game, in play. I didn't have the chance to do that. It was still really fun and like super cool. And we were like killing a purple worm in 1 turn. Yeah, it was. I think that was Elf's character. Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, I would love to do that sometime, just for the. I mean, I actually haven't played. I barely played any Pathfinder. It's been, but I did a bunch of 3.5.
Yeah.
But for the nostalgia of like Deep Crunch, I'd love to try that at some point.
Yeah.
My first like role play oriented D&D experience was 10th level Pathfinder, and I was digging it.
Yeah.
Because the power level is really good. I played a cleric, and it was like not like super healing oriented, but I was like a cleric of Desna, who's like this goddess of travel and the stars and dreams and stuff. So I could like dimension jump, like around like 50 feet away or something like that.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. It's just the stuff that I dig, and I miss playing that character a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of my main game for D&D. My main games are their 10th level, but I'm taking a break from that to run a Two of Annihilation based adventure game with 6th level characters based on a series of in-game, the previous game, adventure novels published by this human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of like Indiana Jones style coming to the continent safari. There's a safari, yes. They talk to the natives, and it's
cool.
They talk to the lane, so it's a fairy, which is the most annoying voice, and I love doing it so much.
Yeah.
It was talking to me again in the safari. Yeah, it was. It's a bad voice, but I love it.
Okay, so I think for
and if you can't think of a magical item, like we could just roll randomly for stuff too. I mean, that is.
Well, I have an idea.
Have a thing. Okay. What's your...
What I would like is sort of the defensive version of a Wand of Wonder, like it.
Random high-powered defensive magic.
Yeah.
In a wand.
Well, not necessarily in a wand. I mean, I don't care what form it comes in. It's just like, things come at me and weird things happen.
Like perhaps somebody did you a favor and they enchanted, this will protect you, but they were like a bad wizard and they just put a bunch of random protective spells, and so you can trigger and you can say what happens. But what would your character imbue with this defensive magic? Would it be a thing you wear? Would it be a thing you hold? Would it think like one of your teeth?
I think I'm just gonna go off the like the picture I chose and go with that the cloak rather than the like wand thing.
Let the picture guide you.
Yeah, because that cloak is really cool. It should do a thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, you can do that. Like, this cloak looks cool. It should do a thing. Like, that's it. That's all you need. Also, take the grid off. I hate the grid.
Okay.
Give you a background. I realize I don't have a background for you guys.
It's just all white right now.
Oh, wait, that's still good.
Oh, wait.
Well, that's why I've been keeping my character sheet up, so that there's something to look at.
Yeah.
And so that I can complete the character.
So for my spell or magical ability, I'm thinking of like either like a spell that helps me change the line work of something. Like I could either change like the line work of a dress or the line work of my tattoos or something. The other one that I'm thinking of is just like it creates like a dark cloud that I can move around to like obscure things. Like I could like dissipate it and then make like kind of like a thin low visibility area, or I could have it be really condensed and just like create like a privacy screen or something like that.
Sure. That'd be cool. For that one, I would say it was something like minor shadow manipulation.
Yeah, that's good.
For the other one, like which do you like better? Like altering hems, where you can change subtly the way something looks or is in relation to something else, because hemwork is about like how far away from the floor it is, how well you can walk in it. Or you can have minor shadow manipulation.
Yeah.
Which you can call something like privacy screen or Taylor's assistant. And it all depends on how you name things. Like, yeah.
Would something that like a reweave or something that item where that it reweaves the patterns of clothes or anything made out of cloth like in an instant be?
I think that might be too powerful because as a tailor you can't change the cloth, but you can alter how it lies. So you can't say like a guard is about to see you and you can say, oh, I use whichever skill you have, and it changes, like maybe the building has like the wall goes out a little bit further, or maybe the guard's helmet is more like it cuts off the peripheral vision more. Like just like I'm thinking about like in Photoshop or in Clip Studio where you just like adjust a line over. Like you can change borders of things. Like the hemline of a dress going up, but like the fabric's still the same. Like you can't change what the building is made out of. You can't change what his helmet is made out of, but you can alter it in a way that would give you a different effect. If that's makes any sense. If that's
that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm mainly just like going for like patterns on things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like having an edit function as a tailor is very, very useful. I'm not really into like the whole like reweaving reality before me sort of thing. It's like not what I'm after.
Sure.
But like changing contours of things, like tattoos or how embroidery is laid out, that's important.
It's like select and drag.
Yeah, exactly.
Like shifting things. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's something like refitting. Like the weave of reality is complete, but somebody comes in and is like, oh, I lost or gained 10 pounds. Can you change this a little bit? If you alter it.
Yeah.
Fitting, altering, hemline, something tailory-ish. Yeah. And depending on how you name it, you could apply it in different ways.
I think I'm going with change line work.
Well, I'm not sure if it's called that in tailoring. I'm looking it up. maybe adjust the pattern?
See, I was also imagining
hemlines, because I know you talk about your tattoos too. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, it is your character, so do what feels right in your soul.
Yeah.
Heart of hearts.
Yeah, I think I am going to go with like adjust lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or contours? Adjust contours?
Yes, that works. Yeah. I was like, I feel like there's a word for the edge of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do they call it in Photoshop?
I don't use Clipstone. It's that thing, perspective shifting, but it's not quite. I'm opening Clip Studio right now to see what the little is. Yeah, it's transform stuff, like mesh transform.
Oh, yes.
So yeah,
that's true.
I think in
contours
Photoshop,
is good.
Contours, curvature.
Yeah.
I think I like contours the best, even though that's not like Illustrator or Photoshop. It's yeah.
It still works, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going over there, Brad?
I think I'm done.
Okay. Adjusting contours. And your magical item was
Cloak of Wonder.
Cloak of Defensive Wonder. Okay. All right. So now.
So.
How long have we been playing?
Oh, we've been going for
an hour.
2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we've been playing for 1 hour.
Well, okay.
We were
I was fucking around with overlaying shit for an hour.
You were doing the Twitch interactive version.
Yeah. And then we had spent an hour making characters.
Just still better than like the 5 hours that I sometimes spend, or the 20 on that Pathfinder character. Sorry, I think it. It was like, it was so like I had different consultants on different days. It was so much. I have very like Plagues was helping me, Daryl was helping me. It was just Tom was helping me. It was
for a one shot. But
for one shot that went like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But I did like 4 of the things on that list.
But I mean, part of the fun is actually creating the character. I mean, if not, then there's a problem.
Like, the last 2 hours that I found the feat where if I eat, like if you eat part of the species that you are, you get like a 2 on your AC, and I'm like, well, I'm a Tengu, I can lay eggs. So when we were about to get into a fight, I was like, I hold an egg up, and I'm like, no, not fighting. And then when it started, I'm like, I shoved the egg into my mouth, and then I get +2 AC because I ate one of my own kind. I ate one of my own eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean,
that's a special kind of wrong.
That's once I thought of that, I was like, oh, I have to do that. If nothing else,
it's so good.
Yeah.
So, shall we take a short break?
Yes.
Before delving
and then we'll build bonds and play this game.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Or do you want to do bonds first?
We can do bonds real quick. It's also like, I know Adam has some questions about like where you are in the world, like what kind of place has a tinkerer's shop and a wedding dress place. So it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
Well,
if you want to think about that.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that the like town or village we're in is, it's like a little bit more than just us. It's small, but but
It's not just two
like
shops on a road.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No one else around.
I guess the thing I had in my head was that the town or village has fluctuated a lot over like the last maybe century or something, and we've just been there that whole time. Like everything else has changed, multiple times. We're
Sure.
still there.
Mhm.
It's like,
Are we like huge members in like the town council
Maybe.
because we've been here forever?
Maybe. I mean, it's possible that we're both like, politics. That's ephemeral.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could be. I could go either way.
Yeah, so you've both been here for 100 years.
I like that.
It's like places in Seattle. I work at a bakery that's been here for 87 years. One of the oldest bakeries in Seattle. And there are business shops that have been here for that long, but things change around them so much. Luckily, I happen to be in a place that's not very, doesn't change. It's got a lot of, let's say, a lot of personal revenue that maintains the status quo. It's a rich neighborhood, basically. Yeah. So town or village that's grown and shrunk a lot in the last 100 years. So probably a trade hub, but not that important of one.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a dock situation or is it in the middle of land? Do you guys know?
See, I'm primarily imagining a lot of forest being around, so landlocked maybe,
Sure.
All right.
Good to me.
but that's just the first thing I'm imagining. I could do
Sure.
something different, but
Yeah.
No, I sort of
Maybe
like that more
landlocked with
than
like a water route through it.
Coastal.
Okay. So yeah.
'Cause
So
I
you're like
wanted
on
to-
the way to a lot of places, but you're not the place you go to. You
Yeah,
just have
totally.
to. Yeah. Okay. I think I have a picture I'm going to use for that. I can also steal from the internet a lot, which I'm trying to get better at. But
Better at stealing from the internet?
Sorry, I accidentally clicked to open something, and I go close it. Okay, there. So you've been here for 100 years. Are you friends or rivals, or did one of you steal from the other? Like, think about those questions of, did you ever save each other's life, or have you ever had a rivalry go wrong? Do you have any enemies in town that we could put a name on? What's your current biggest sale, since you're both shop owners? Do you have any outstanding credits? Like someone's like, oh, I'm going to pay for this wedding dress, and they never come back. Think of,
Yeah.
are there any of those questions that speak to you to do? And do you protect the town, or are you just there? Do you just happen to be one of those businesses that always exists?
Well, how do you feel about being sort of best friends who hate each other?
I like that.
Okay.
So because you do such different things, it's like, maybe it's one of those that you've been around for so long, like you get along because you're the person who's been around the long, like you've just been there. 100 years is a long time to be friends or be enemies, so it's sort of merged.
Yeah. I think, yeah, there's just so much history. There's so many things that have happened, and we've never like forgotten any of it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's like, I value you so much more than I value anyone else here because I've known you forever, and I also hate you more than anyone else in this town because
because of all those little things.
Yeah. Remember 80 years ago when you borrowed that pair of like knitting needles and you never returned them? And I found one of them like in somebody, just like while you were like in a construct that was getting a dress made. It's like, yeah, I went for repairs and they gave me this cool little, and you're like, that's my knitting needles. Yeah. And if you have questions for each other, I know you've played more bond building things as well. You have one of you designed a game with bond building questions.
Yeah, and
who could that?
And I mean, who cares about those knitting needles though? Because I mean, like 10 years after that, you broke my saw. It was a really good saw.
What did I need the saw for? I think I've been like renovating slowly or trying to make an addition.
Okay.
Okay.
And how long have you been renovating?
50 years. And it's just that one addition.
The same addition. Okay.
You know, I can get that done for you over a weekend.
You've seen the kind of work they do.
Yeah.
I think you just like look across the street at their shop and like
it probably wouldn't collapse, but it wouldn't be safe to enter. I mean, not really. I mean, there'd be a trick to it.
I mean, you want to rush into marriage, right? You want to make sure that they're really determined to get married, right? No.
Should we have...
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So we should have multiple bonds, like some NPC ones. As well,
if you want to like, if you want to introduce characters during the game, you can say like, oh, I have some people in hand for. I have a little quest to sort of send you guys out or have you guys perform. But it's up to you. How connected to this town do you want to be? Like, are you the kind of people who have children or have somebody in town who just hates you so much, just flames on the sides of their face? Like, do you each want to make an NPC right now for the other person? You can do that too.
Ooh.
I know there's so much you could do with this, but I need to get more directive with that when it comes to world building.
Okay, so I think I have like, since I'm like a drow grandma, basically, I have to have like a bunch of kids.
Drow babies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so since you have a bunch of kids, how many studied under Colonel? Like, or give me one that studied under Colonel that totally abandoned you to betray you.
Gave up the whole weaving thing.
Yeah.
How could they?
Even if it was just like, no, they just went over there for a summer and then you like disowned them, or you could still be friends with them, but like you still remember. You know, they tinker in their spare time.
So
are you tinkering in there?
Our vor is they are one of my daughter's non-binary kids.
Okay.
And I think they just took like a liking to Curdle, and they just kind of like wound up in the shop all the time and just kind of learned from like the pattern of the words that were spoken in like the back rooms. Just like kind of like lurked in that shop of his forever and ever, and kind of went over to his side of things on our little quabbles and issues.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, Granny, he's not such a bad guy. He does a lot of stuff. Look what I can do. And so they learned pattern magic by lurking about in the shop.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, like that. They can see where the Rube Goldberg machine is.
And it's
Yeah.
not my fault. It's not like I would encourage your spawn.
Did you encourage this?
And,
Maybe it was like a subtle. Maybe it was like you left out an unfinished thing where you knew they would stay at, like where they normally hang out next to. Where you're like, here, hold this for a second, and forgot to take it back.
It's like,
Mhm.
I mean, mostly I verbally discouraged them a lot.
Sure.
But yeah, I met it actually.
Those are my other grandchildren, though. You discourage my other grandchildren. You keep Arvor around.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the grumpy, like, I'm not going to teach you anything, and then the person who's trying to learn just hangs around, and they like grumpily accept them eventually. Like, it's a very, very popular trope to.
Yeah, but I would never admit
the
it.
reluctant. But
Yeah,
no. If anyone was listening, or watch, I love it.
Exactly.
And I think the upstart human named Mayor, who's like only 50 years old, we don't get along. Like,
Okay.
Just there's my shop presents a certain amount of danger to the community at large.
He's always after you for get safety permits.
Yeah, but it's one of the two. It's one of the two businesses in town that have been stable after a fashion, for certain values of stable, for longer than they've been alive.
Yeah, and I think I defend you on that because I just see your place as like a dangerous place that we just know is dangerous.
Okay.
Like, it's an evil that we understand very well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who walks into the shop, from town, knows what they're
like
getting into.
House.
Sort
like
of.
You don't go to the haunted house of the neighborhood. But so you defend Curdle to the mayor, but in what way? I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't lead too much. Gervona and the mayor have a very positive past relationship in some way. In which way is that? Like, it could be related to your family or to your shop or to your business or to you personally, or maybe their father was somebody you knew and agreed with. But there's a positive relationship between you and the mayor. Also, what is the mayor's name, Brad? Okay, I gotta name that mayor.
Yeah. Begram. That.
Begram. Okay.
And I think I just sort of I have a very hospitable relationship with almost all of the humans in town until they wrong me.
I'm putting that down, until they wrong me.
And I haven't been wronged by these humans yet, so I have a very good, if superficial, relationship with them.
I want to know, like, this specifically Begram, like, what positive connection do you have to, like, not just neutral, but like good thing that they've done for you or their family's done for you or you've done for them? Something that's more specific than your general until they wrong me.
So I don't think our town has a ton of like chefs, really.
Okay.
Like I think we're kind of like a culinary desert.
Ooh.
So what I've done for their family is I constantly invite them over for these dinners that I just make, that I'm just used to making, and they're like, those people you know,
you have a big family
good at cooking, and they're just like, well, I just whipped this up, and then it's like, no, this is better than anything I've ever had at a restaurant.
Yeah, it's like a baked Alaska, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Ow. Regular delicious dinners. And you're from are you from the Underdark since you're a drow? Are you both deep folk?
I think maybe
or
the
are you
drow
surface
in our
drow?
world come from like a crater that goes like pretty deep.
Yeah.
And has I was just thinking about this the other day about, like, you know, the plant poke, how it's like super poisonous, but it's like it's got these like super dark berries that have like a really sharp pigment, and you can use the berries for ink, but the entire plant is just like super poisonous. But people sometimes use the shoots to make like, and like boil it a whole bunch to like, and then you can eat it because it's just been boiled that much. I feel like there's an elven poke that lives that grows naturally in the crater, and the berries are like almost like a little rhubarb-ish if you bake them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's like a flavor, and it's super fancy. So where do kobolds come from? Where do you, or specifically, Curdle, where do you come from in this world?
I think that off to the west there's like this sort of there's like a mountain range that abuts the desert, and there's like a cave system that is like that threads throughout the mountain range and under a little bit of the desert. And from there.
Okay.
But it's not like super. It doesn't go super deep. It's not. It's not like an Underdark thing. It's just like.
Sure. It's just regular cave system.
Yeah.
Just a little lower. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. And I think that Curdle disagrees with that about the town being a culinary wasteland. Like this place,
compared to what you know.
Yeah. This place has some of the most succulent grubs anywhere. What?
Like people weren't so stubborn about what they wanted to eat. Yeah, these are fat, delicious. Because it's forests and trees and rivers. Like it's a rich, fertile land. It's just you can't grow a lot of stuff here for a reason. Actually, it doesn't have to be a surprise. I can just drag it over now. There's a picture.
So I don't like eating like living things, like even grubs, and that's why I don't see this as
vegetarian.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Or you don't eat them alive. Like you've seen Curdle like pull something out and just shove it living into their mouth. Or
well, I mean,
if
it's not still wriggling, it could be rotten. That's unsanitary.
Yes, if it's not still wriggling, it could be rotten. Yeah, and also like this stage is like you don't have to world build together. Like if the players are less RPG experienced, you could have a preset world made and just drop characters in like you would standard D&D. But I like that we all kind of are good at that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's what we do.
I love
for the
world
last
building
few
with
weeks.
you too.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So yeah, going back to that, I think I don't like to eat things while they're still alive. Like if you find like a very freshly dead thing that you didn't kill, that's fine to eat, especially if you're running low on food.
Okay. So.
But I think it might be like an intolerance sort of thing too. Like maybe my body doesn't tolerate meat super well, like in the way that people don't tolerate lactose very well.
Sure. Like there's something about the living essence that lingers on the meat of creatures. Yeah. And maybe you can maybe you have that ability where you can taste the violence of something. Like if something was murdered, like a chicken, you're like, no, thank you. But if it like fell off a bridge, you're like, well, that's all right. Like
that sounds perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that distinction.
Taste the murder.
Taste
the murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right. So many good grubs. Excellent. And if you look, you can see the picture of I've chosen for the town that you're in, and the map of Meatybones, Mevalos, the world.
Cool.
Yeah. So in that way, it's risen and fallen, and there's like buildings, but it's good for trade because you can like take airships down to it, but also like do some river traveling. And if there's a year or a season or a decade with a lot of rains, then like some of the buildings get like drowned, so people can't live there, which changes the population. So it's a very tumultuous place. And because I play with the rule of everything that happens in every Meatybones games happens in every other Meatybones games, this is a place that now exists, and these are rules that now exist. Because it's not just a meat game. This is specifically a fantasy Meatybones game. So that's a little. Thank you for helping expand my world. And now there is a crater that drow come from with elven pokeweed that grows there, and there's a lot of grubs here.
Succulent ones.
Succulent. I'm gonna put not just good, succulent.
So with these like needle like buildings, I think our places are like right across from each other, but I always imagine mine as being like you can't even see it like on this map. It's so small, but you have your shop in like a smaller spire or something like that. Like maybe this one right here, and then this behind this thing right here.
Make it bigger.
Yeah. Let me also get rid of my character sheet. Yep.
Yeah. So like you're still like. Also, I have a question for Curdle. When you built your building, were you allowed to build there, or did they just wake up one day and you built it at like low population tide, and there weren't enough people to like regulate your building there, but when the population kind of came back up, your building was already there? Are you like in a park? Like
yeah. I mean, it's totally grandfathered in. Like if somebody tried to build where or what I was build my kind of the kind of structure I live in, and especially where it is now, that would not fly.
It's not allowed. Grandfathered in. Yeah, because I kind of pictured you're like across the street, but the more I thought about your thing, I pictured like kind of in the street off the edge of a park, and it's like, well, they weren't using this first 10 feet. Nobody travels on this, so you just put a shop there, and then you sort of like expanded as the years have gone on.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine at the time.
And nobody can move it, one, because it's so deadly, and two, because you've been there forever, so it's like one of those heritage buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, go ahead, try. I dare you, come on in, move stuff.
And they're like, yeah.
So all these
okay.
buildings have like spires, I'm seeing.
Uh-huh. They're very pointy.
Yeah.
Maybe
Are
because
they
when the water
spiry?
comes,
Mm-hmm.
you move to the top floors.
Maybe also that maybe these are like they help navigate airships, or they help
Yeah,
airships
blinking
navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
I'll write
can
that down.
also like they're also like a place where you can set your anchor down and it'll
Yeah.
magnetize to it.
Like every tower has a place. That's why you can have like a lot of airships. Like you have like the yearly airship convention there or whatever. You're like the newest models. Yeah.
Oh, we haven't named the town, have we?
You haven't.
And I say that without having an idea.
Without having any plan. Yeah. I mean, we could use the name of the image that I saw. It's called the City of Bells. But if you want to make it something else, feel free.
Let's use the City of Bells for now.
Okay.
And if we come up with a better idea, then
yeah, like
we'll just
that was its original name, but you might call it something else.
How about Bellhaven?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bellhaven.
Technically, it's Old Bellhaven because you know, not too far away there's a new Bellhaven.
Yeah,
but,
like drifting downriver like a couple miles. There's the original Bellhaven that was here but couldn't hold on.
Oh, you mean this thing? Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, there's like pieces of your town.
Yeah.
Downriver, like you're like, oh well. No, our jurisdiction is like for the like 4 miles around here.
Yeah,
you get away with a lot for that. So no, but the tariffs you have to pay.
Yeah, and I guess occasionally people do live in that lower part, but you know, it is flooded half the year. Like,
yeah, maybe aquatic people live there. Maybe you have a varied. Like those towns that they bury under dams, like merfolk have taken it over.
Oh, yeah.
Or murlocs.
Sorry, I have to. I played WoW for too long.
Played Hearthstone for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. The town extends too far. Okay. Yeah. I'll put that in the town. Like this is, I love world building. Like, if this was just a game about world building, I might be okay with that too. But we build characters, so we should play characters.
Okay.
I think this is good to start with. There's nothing last minute anyone like definitely wanted to make sure to put in the game.
So yeah, let's play characters after the break.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yay.
Cool. So we will be back shortly. Please stick around.